Hey guys, how's everyone doing? This is Sir Jedi Sentinel, and welcome back to Batman Be Vlogged, the weekly vlog series where I review an episode of Batman Beyond after watching it for the very first time. Today we are looking at episode 18, Hidden Agenda, from a story by Hilary J. Bader and Sean McLaughlin, written by Hilary J. Bader and directed by Kurt Jetta. Season 2 seems to be on an upswing here at the moment. After a very shaky start, we start seeming to be getting really good episodes now. As you recall, last week I really enjoyed the previous episode, Lost Soul, and Hidden Agenda here is another really good episode. And that's kind of really important here because this is the first episode focused on Terry's school life that I actually really like. If you recall, way back in season 1, whenever episodes would shift away and have the villain that Batman faces be tied to Terry's school life, I've always said those episodes aren't the best. In fact, Golem and The Winning Edge, thus far still, are two of the worst episodes of the series. So this is kind of a big deal that now we have an episode with kind of that same focus that I really enjoy. So, what's the plot? Well, this episode focuses on Maxine Gibson, or better known as Max, who is voiced by Cree Summer. She is a new character created for season 2. I haven't talked about her yet because this is her first episode in a major capacity. She first appeared in Splicers as a friend of Terry and Dana, who always seems to have been there despite never appearing in season 1. But here we really have a major role. Here she's really in her first major role. Gotham recently had Hamilton Hill High School, Terry's school, recently had an equivalent to the SATs essentially, and Max was the highest scorer. She got a perfect score, and she was the top scorer in the school. This causes problems for another student, class president Carter Wilson, voiced by Michael Rosenbaum. So, wow, Michael Rosenbaum has just buried himself, burrowed deep into DC. I mean, he was Lex Luthor in Smallville, but we don't talk about Smallville. He has a guest role in this episode, and I think most iconically to the Bruce Timmverse, he was the voice of Wally West, the Flash, in Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. And Rosenbaum here gives a really good performance as Carter, because Carter has a double life, presumably pushed to his limits by his overbearing and perfectionist mother, who we only see for one scene, but that one scene does a good job of giving you everything you need. Carter moonlights as a excuse me. Wow, this is not a good time to be doing this. Carter moonlights as a Joker named Terminal. Terminal has a really great design. We get some new Jokers here that we haven't seen before, and they all have pretty standout designs, mainly considering this is their first appearance, but Terminal's is really good. It's devoid of color, and Terminal seems very humorless compared to the other Jokers. In fact, initially, in his first scene at the opening of the episode, I was going to try and continue my ongoing conspiracy theory with this series that many of the villains, the new villains created for this series that Terry faces, are futuristic reimaginings of classic Batman villains. I've said this before. Ink is Clayface, Spellbinder is the Scarecrow, etc., etc. I was in his opening scene because Terminal made a remark about marking the Joker's latest victim. I thought this theory was going to continue and that Terminal was going to be Victor Zsasz. Ultimately, that's not the case. But because he has been pushed to the breaking point by his mother and he is acting out, essentially, Terminal has decided to target Max, which in turn leads to problems for her and Terry because Max is a programmer, or she's a would-be computer programmer, and she is working on an algorithm to deduce Batman's identity. Why? That never gets clearly explained. It's like Did Batman wrong her? Is she against vigilantism? That's never clearly explained. But then as the episode progresses and she becomes a target of the Joker's, she modifies it to try and figure out who the Joker's are, and the results it gives her say Terry. And we're gonna get into that because that's kind of a weird moment in this episode. Regardless, or waiting to get to that point. This episode is a really great thriller. As you have Max trying to figure out who Batman and the Joker's are. You have Terminal and the Joker's targeting her. There's this great tension throughout this episode. Like I said, summed up, it's a really good thriller. But now we get to one of those weird moments in this episode that kind of leads to Max suspecting Terry is a Joker. Because when Terry confronts Terminal's gang for the first time, he says, "Leave her alone, I'll take care of this." He says to the Joker's, "Leave her alone, I'll take care of this." And it's really weird. That's like he's negotiating with the Joker's. Like, he doesn't know why Terminal is targeting Max, but he basically says, I'll make sure this isn't an issue. It's really bizarre. Do you know what I think is going on? This episode is trying to justify its plot, and it comes off as just being out of character. Also, fun note I noticed, I didn't realize until the end of the credits, Bruce isn't in this episode at all. He gets mentioned a couple times, but he is not in this episode. And like I said, I didn't notice until we got to the credits when I looked at the cast list and his name wasn't there. That is a really good sign for this episode, because in the past, when I've noted that Bruce was absent from an episode, it usually means, at least to me, that the episode's not very good. Because it's like, hey, where's Kevin Conroy? I miss Bruce Wayne. But let's get to the big thing. Max, after this ordeal has been settled and Carter has been arrested, has revealed to be Terminal. Also, that kind of, in a scene that kind of pinpoints exactly why I have a problem with episodes focused on Terry's school life. Everyone in Terry's school is an asshole. Like, everyone except him, Dana, and Max are all terrible people. And I've just made it clear that I don't like narratives that focus on terrible people. So I think that's kind of the major reasons why I don't like episodes focused on Terry's school, but that's beside the point. Max has correctly deduced that Terry is Batman. And we don't know what that means right now. It seems like Max is kind of gonna be a member of the Bat family to some capacity. She's not gonna actively help. She even makes a joke about it towards the end of the episode. Don't call me Robin. And we kind of see that in a way what she's going on. Like she's gonna be Terry's alibi right now. Like when Dana finds them and asks Terry where he was the night before, Max very quickly comes up with this lie that she was supposed to be babysitting Terry's brother. Something came up and Terry had to take over. I don't have any more to comment on that aspect at the moment. Just I will say this, it kind of feels like this plot line going forward will lean in one direction that I really hope it doesn't lean in. But beyond that, there are very few complaints I have about Hidden Agenda. It's a really good thriller. The performances all around are solid, with some great focus on Michael Rosenbaum, Will Friedle, and Cree Summer. The animation and the coloring is really good on this episode. And all around, it really, like I said, thus far, Season 2 has been ramping up in quality. But those are just my thoughts. Hidden Agenda. Have you seen it? What are your thoughts? Start a conversation in the comments below. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Click the bell next to subscribe to get notifications when I upload. And in the description box below, you'll find a link to my Twitter, where, for the time being, you can follow me and get updates on the channel. This is Sir Jedi Sentinel, and I'll see you guys next week for episode 19.